everybody and welcome. Today I wanted to talk about UBI again, and more specifically the objection I get, which is universal basic income will essentially disincentivize people to work. And this has always been kind of a funny objection to me for many reasons, but I wanted to address first the whole concept of disincentivizing people to work and how UBI more than likely won't do that. And I have three particular reasons on that particular argument, and then I'll move into the reason why I find this objection so funny myself. So the first reason why it's strange that people say that it will disincentivize people to work, because it actually does the opposite in many regards, particularly the way that Andrew Yang is implementing this universal basic income. And just so you know, I'm talking about it from the perspective of implementing this in the next, presidency, essentially. So what he has done is he's essentially made this an opt-in system, which means that you can choose whether you get the $1,000 a month, or you can choose whether you receive government benefits. So you get to pick one or the other. And one of the challenges that we're currently facing as a society is that individual people, they end up on government support, and then they're afraid to go out and find work because they're worried they're going to lose their benefits. I know quite a few people who have a certain amount of money, that they have a certain amount of income that they have every month, and then they also have a certain amount of government aid, but they worry that they're going to earn just a little bit too much one month and lose their benefits and not be able to afford rent and food. That's actually fairly common, and this is an issue I think that's not really addressed all that often when discussing UBI, which is humorous because it is now becoming a little bit more mainstream. But what actually happens is, because you now have this option and you get the $1,000 a month, you get this universal basic income, no matter what, you no longer have this disincentive to work. You no longer feel the need to not earn enough because you're worried you're going to lose the aid that you're getting. And that's kind of what's beautiful about the way that Yang is implementing this, because you get to choose which one you receive, either government benefits or universal basic income. And if you're earning more, or if you're getting more than $1,000 a month in support, then you can choose to keep that. But if you're getting less than $1,000 a month, you can choose to get the $1,000 a month and then be able to afford the things that the aid is providing you with. So if you are somebody who's on food stamps, for example, and you're getting $300 worth of support, the universal basic income is actually going to help you because you're earning $700 more in support. Also, you don't have to fill out all of these forms and paperwork. You don't have to continually prove that you earn the amount that you earn. You don't have to continually worry that you're going to lose your benefits at a moment's notice because something happened and they decided to discontinue it. I mean, the process of approving people for benefits currently is really, really arduous from what I understand. I'm not currently on government benefits, though, so I can't attest to this personally, but from what I understand, it is quite an arduous process. So this idea that universal basic income can then come in and take the place or overtake the role that a lot of government assistance has filled up to this point means that you're actually decreasing the amount of people on government assistance, which is a good thing. You're encouraging them to go back to work and to contribute to their income even more by getting a job if, say, they didn't want a job before due to losing their benefits. And that allows the economy to be stimulated even further because now you have the money going back into the system. You have people more willing to work, and you end up taking the stress away from so many of the individuals who only get partial benefits due to the income level that they are currently at. Now, the second reason why UBI doesn't actually disincentivize people to work is kind of a logical, rational, reasonable one, which is people get bored. And I know that maybe a lot of you guys are like, I never get bored. Actually, you probably do. And you're just saying that to humor me. But we, as a species, tend to get bored when we're not doing something. We tend to want to have a project to work on, something that interests us, something that keeps our attention, and something that keeps us busy. So, if we didn't have a job, we're inevitably going to find another avenue into which to channel our energies. Many of us already do that even if we have a job, which is we channel our energy into hobbies, which essentially is something that you work at despite the fact that you don't get paid because you love it. And oftentimes you don't actually want to get paid for your hobby either, because then you feel like your income is dependent upon the thing that you love, which kind of ruins the effect, and then you don't end up loving it as much. I've definitely fallen victim to this a couple of times. Every now and then with the YouTube channel too, I'm like, well, this to a certain degree is a labor of love, and when I start focusing on potential revenue generation, I actually end up decreasing my ability to actually produce videos, because then I'm so focused on what is not occurring in regards to the YouTube channel. So people get bored. They want to do things. They want to move forward. They want to have a project. And saying that giving somebody $1,000 a month is going to make them want to quit doing all things and sit on their butt playing video games, which technically is doing something. But saying that they're going to quit work and then go do nothing for the rest of their life just doesn't correlate. People like having things to do. People get bored. We like to be engaged. We like to learn. We like to grow. We like to do. This is not going to change because you get a little money. Also, $1,000 a month is really not that much. It is still below the poverty level, so you're probably going to want to subsidize that income with something else so that you can live in comfort, so that you can live an abundant life, so that you can have the comfort and luxury that you're looking for. For somebody like me, that's a little bit different. I would take that $1,000 and invest it into a further business, because I personally view working for an hourly wage in order to earn $1 million is like the most inefficient way to actually go about that goal. So if money is your goal, I would not suggest getting a job. I would suggest starting a business. A business is likely to fail though, so that $12,000 cushion could be immensely helpful. As somebody who cannot stand the 9-to-5 job for very long at any given time, this is appealing to me. I like the challenge of starting a business. I like the challenge of trying to figure stuff out. I like that I have to do so many different things. At the same time, it's irritating because, you have to wear all the different hats. You have to do all the different kinds of work. I mean, recording a video is one thing. Editing it is another. Figuring out how to market it. Figuring out how to title it. Figuring out the tags you want to use. I mean, all of these things are aspects of one video. And, YouTube is not the only thing that I do. I also work as an author. I also program video games. I also do 3D animation. I also play guitar. So, there are a lot of things that I do. And more than likely, other people have a similar desire to constantly move forward and to constantly grow and to constantly do. And for entrepreneurial individuals like myself, this concept of UBI, this cushion, is going to be immensely helpful in helping us get our feet in the water so that we can actually start to build something bigger that could actually employ more people in the future. And reason number 3 why people would not be disincentivized to work due to UBI is there is a societal expectation that you will add something of value to society. It's kind of like you live here, so you have to do some of the chores, similar to in a house. Now, I cannot say that I'm great at doing chores, but the expectation is still there, and that expectation is often enough to galvanize people into a certain level of action. So, for example, I tend to wash my own dishes by hand, and I tend to try to contain my stuff or my mess to my own space so it's not intruding on other people. There is a certain level of responsibility there. There is a certain level of expectation that I adhere to. So, while I may not be fantastic at the expectation of chores and contribution, to a certain level, it does still affect me. And the same goes for our society at large. You have this expectation that we are going to contribute, and everybody will to some degree. Some people will contribute more, some people will contribute less. Most of the time, people are going to contribute in ways that you may not necessarily recognize as being contributions, but still are. I mean, this is a really big concept, and you really have to start figuring out how you gauge contribution, and that could be part of the issue there. But it's not going to disincentivize people to work to get universal basic income, because there is still the expectation out there that they will work and contribute. So, that being said, now I want to go into this whole concept of, if in fact people were right and UBI did disincentivize people to work, here's my question. So what? Like, I genuinely don't get why this is so problematic. One of the things that people seem to believe, and I think this is a faulty belief, is that work in and of itself is valuable. And I don't get it. I don't understand how you could think work is innately valuable. Like, going out and cutting a tree is not innately valuable. Going out and hacking on a steel bar with a piece of wood is not helpful. It's definitely work. It's definitely challenging, especially if you're trying to cut it. But it's not very effective, it's not very efficient, you're not going to get anywhere, and it's not useful, but it is work. So why is it that we believe work is innately valuable? From my perspective, work is only valuable when you have something that needs doing. So if you have a particular project that needs to be finished, you have a particular issue that needs to be fixed, then I understand the concept of work. You know, trying to program a video game is challenging, and when I can't figure out how to lengthen a button vertically due to the text, you know, that's frustrating, and it's a lot of work, and it's very challenging. But it's also productive, because I'm learning something, I'm making the program better, and I'm making it more accessible and easy to use and more appealing to the end user. So, is it a need? No. Is it valuable? Yes, because I'm providing some value to other people. You know, I'm creating something that others can enjoy. Now, when you look at work from that perspective, you're like, yes, absolutely, work is valuable. You're providing value to other people. You're making the world a better place. You're contributing to the overall well-being of society. This is a plus. The problem is we continue to say that work in and of itself is valuable, not recognizing that when you make somebody do some kind of arduous, labor-intensive task that has absolutely no value, it doesn't actually contribute to their sense of well-being. It doesn't actually make them feel like they're contributing to the overall well-being of society, and in fact, they aren't. So there is a movement out there to essentially stop automation and guarantee that a certain percentage of the jobs will continue to exist. Kind of like 10% of all production must be done by humans or something. They actually made a Doctor Who episode on this subject, which I thought was pretty funny. One of the things that happens, though, when you do this is you actually end up creating widespread depression. Now, I know that a lot of people are like, but you need jobs to stop depression, but in truth, if you give them a meaningless task to do, it also leads to depression, because they are entirely replaceable and they're actually decreasing the efficiency of the system. Nobody wants to be a part of that. So, work in and of itself is not valuable. Work in and of itself is not something that we should have, from my perspective, so it's interesting to me that people even argue that this is a problem if people stop working. But you can argue that there are other benefits to work, and yes, there are, or can be, at the very least. For one, the social aspect could be a plus. Sense of meaning, purpose of fulfillment could be another. The problem is, there again, if you have a meaningless job, you're not going to be all that interested in talking to the people around you. And it's not going to provide a sense of purpose or meaning. I mean, standing at a cashier stand waiting for people to come check out is really, really dull. I worked in a deli, and when you don't have customers, you're supposed to be cleaning. And if you've cleaned something 20 times already, it's a wasted effort. It's not going to get any cleaner than that. It's ridiculous. So, when we say that work also provides a sense of meaning, a sense of community, we have to ask, well, is it the only place that provides those things? And the answer to that is no. There are other places where you can find a sense of community. There are other places where you can find meaning and fulfillment. And usually, they're both going to happen in the same place. So, if you wanted to find meaning and fulfillment, go find a club who needs somebody with your particular skill set. Go find a business that you can join in and start up. Create a business with your friends. I mean, whatever you want to do is going to be more meaningful and more impactful to society at large because you have a passion for it, you have the skill set for it, and you're creating a better sense of joy and making something that you believe is important and valuable in general. You know best what you can contribute. So why should we tell people that they need to contribute in this specific way and that they need to work in this specific way in order to survive as well? I don't understand. Work is not valuable just because it's work. And it's not helpful to force people to do work that is useless. It's not going to help us. So in the end, whether UBI incentivizes or disincentivizes work doesn't really matter from my perspective, because this whole issue of work being absolutely vital and important to society is faulty. So that's my 2 cents on this subject, at least for this particular video, because obviously this is not the first video I've done on UBI, but I do think it's a valuable subject to discuss, and this concept in particular is a valuable one to discuss because so many times we make arguments about things, but we don't ever think to question the foundation of the question. Like, we never question whether not working is a good or bad thing. Instead, we say, well, what if it makes people not work? That's the wrong question. So that can apply in many different aspects of life. That can apply in many different aspects of political campaigns. That can apply to specific subjects like UBI. I mean, there are so many things that we don't know, and it's really helpful for us to recognize that. So I'm going to end the video there. I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure to click the like button, subscribe to the channel, and click the notification bell. If you would like to support me as a creator and help me to continue creating videos, make sure to head on over to my Patreon or PayPal pages and donate. And then if you have any questions, comments, video ideas, feel free to leave those in the comments section, and I will do my best to respond. So, thanks for watching. Talk to you again soon. Bye.